November 2024, you said that there will be additional funding for public sector workers to cover the cost of employer national insurance contributions, adding that the Treasury will provide full funding to deal with the national insurance contributions of employers. And now, as you explained, they haven't provided the full funding as you assured members of this Senate. So it is concerning that in November you were giving guarantees that you're now having to walk away from because of your colleagues in Westminster. But indeed, organisations would have heard those assurances and would have made plans based on those assurances, only for them not to come to fruition. So how did you get it so wrong, and how can people trust your assurances again in the future?
Well, the assurances that were given in November were based on the Statement of Funding Policy. The Statement of Funding Policy does seem clear to me. It says that when any one of the four governments in the United Kingdom takes a decision that creates costs for any other government, then the government that creates those costs must meet that bill in full. That, I think, would have been the right way to have dealt with these national insurance contributions. The UK government takes a different view and has used the Barnett formula instead. We continue to make the case to them for proceeding in a way that I think is consistent with what the Statement of Funding Policy would require.
Well, you must recognise, Cabinet Secretary, that when assurances are given in this place, that organisations expect them to follow through. I recognise at this stage some of that's been out of your control, but again, that flies in the face of the message that you and others want to project, which is the same government working at both ends of the M4, working together. This is clearly another example of that working together not happening for people here in Wales. And whilst the public sector itself will be damaged as a result of this, the charity sector also, who are huge providers of public services in Wales, are even worse position because, of course, there's no additional funding for them to deal with the national insurance increases. Marie Curie, for example, who provided vital hospice care, said that Labour's tax will cost them an additional £2.92 million a year and force them to reduce services. So can you give assurances, for what they're worth, to organisations like Marie Curie and many others across Wales that they will be in a position to be able to provide the vital public sector services in the future, despite not receiving this level of support that they require?
Well, I'm glad to hear what the member has to say about assurances, because we can take it then, and so can all those people who work in our public services in Wales, that when his leader said at the Conservative Party conference in Wales that the Conservative Party would introduce a pay freeze for all public sector workers, we can take it that that was an assurance on which they can rely. You see, I see it wasn't so reliable after all, because already we hear them trying to unravel what they said.